Hello and welcome to the Kenshatori channel. My name is Dan and this is Big Harv, our trusted Defender 110. Now, some of you may have been following us on Instagram at kenshatori.overland or at bigharv1971, and you may have seen that over the past year or so we have been developing a new style of camper and cargo system for the 110. Now, what's different about this is this system will allow you to keep your middle row seats in. So if you're out with your mates or if you're a family and you want to convert your 110 into a camper van, but you still need those middle row seats to carry your passengers, then we've got something you might be interested in. Let's take a look. So here we are, sat in the back of Big Harv, and this is the Weekender. Now, what's so special about this Weekender system? Well, first of all, you can keep your middle row seats. This here is the head end part of the bed. Now, when you're using your seats, as we are at the moment, it just simply folds up out of the way and locks into position. Let's go and have a look at putting those down, and then we'll have another look around the inside. Right, so while setting up the camera, I've already laid down the single seat at the 60-40 split and placed one of the panels out of the three-way split head end down into position. Now, nothing needs to change into the back other than putting a little bracket up here on your seatbelt mount. Now, this is what helps keep this head end in place when you lower the seats or put the seats forward. Now, this is to stop the thing coming down on your head or falling backwards. All three panels are simply latched together, so if you want to use it as one panel, you can do so. But I find having these three panels is very simple, because not only does it form part of your seating and sleeping area, but it also, when the seats are forward, gives you a cavern of storage space. And when you're inside the vehicle or outside the vehicle, you have complete access to whatever you decide to put in here. Now, this does come in three different options: the three-way split like this, a 60-40 split, and just a solid single piece. And with all of those, you have the option to have this little flap here. This is the rear view flap. And what this allows is a clear view from your rear view mirror. So if you haven't got a reversing camera and you've got a clear window, you just drop this little flap and you can still see out of the back. So here we are again in the back of Big Harv. Now, to show you the kind of space that we have with the Weekender system, I had booked in a Highland cow, but instead we have Aviemore here, who's not quite as big as a Highland cow, but Aviemore is our travelling companion. So whenever we go away, Aviemore is sat with us somewhere and he looks after us. So we've seen the head end system, the three panel split, and how it works. Now, from the inside, obviously, I can now access anywhere in that area where I've put the seats forward. So when we're camping, we can just throw whatever we want in there. We can put our chairs in there and suitcases or bags or whatever, and we can access it from the inside or the outside. So what else is so special about the Weekender system? Not only can we use our middle row seats and carry passengers, but we have huge amounts of storage in here. And we can start with the tall boy. Now, the tall boy is about 192 litres of storage space, over 6 compartments. At the top here, you've got a stuffed shelf, so it's great for things like hats and gloves and high-vis vests. I mean, at the moment up here, I've got some LED lanterns, some boxes of pegs and gloves and hats, and I've got my high-vis up there as well. And then in the next two drawers here, now these can be used for pretty much anything. I think they're about 10 litres each, but they've been designed specifically really for your canned goods or stubby beers. And they're at the perfect height, so they're not rolling around all over the place. Now, all the doors come with these adjustable and removable steel wires, so you can adjust the level depending on how you're parked. And then if you want to get in there, easy access for cleaning or anything, you can just unclip the steels and get in there and give it a good old clean. And then when you're done, you can just hook them back up. Now they're spring hooked, so they're not going to fall off when you're traveling, and they're plastic coated, so they won't rattle around or anything like that. And then they've got these really nice slam lock latches, which means you don't have to have any latches or knobs or whatever on the outside that can catch equipment on, or you scrape your skin on, bump your head or whatever. And then the next doors below, these cabinets are 48 litres each. Now because I've got mine on the left hand side of big half, I use this end, which is the closed window area, and it's got an adjustable shelf. It's got 5 levels you can put it to, but you can use that shelf in either cabinet. And that 48 litres is enough for Liz and I when we go away for a long weekend or a short week to put all of our clothes in. The other nice thing about this cabinet setup is when these doors are down, you've got a nice table or desk area, so you can eat here, you can use your laptop here. And again, the wires are adjustable and removable, so if you want to get in and clean properly, you can just drop those doors all the way down. In this compartment where my sliding window is, there is a little compartment. It's a removable compartment. And if I just remove my pots and pans, I can remove the board that is also, or can also double up as a chopping board. And then inside here, I've got my single burner stove. So if I want to, I can just open up my sliding window and I can do a small meal from here. I can boil the kettle, get the coffee going and that sort of thing. Or I can stand outside and do the same thing. And then when I'm done, I can just close my window. I can put my top back in, and then I can use the rest of the cabinet as storage. Now, if you don't want to cook, you just don't need to put the compartment in. Now, you can use that compartment in both sides. So if you had the tall boy over here, for example, you could put that little compartment up against this sliding window. Now at the bottom here, we've got the wheel arch storage compartment, which I think is around about 96 or 98 litres of storage, plus some. So it's a double door system. And the reason it's a double door system is, one, when the bed panels are not in, I can have full access to this wheel arch storing space. And it's huge. I've got in here a hydraulic jack, I've got blankets, I've got tarps, I've got a picnic rug, I've got some beers, I've got another gas cooker, and I've got my collapsible sink and drainer, air pump, and a few other little bits and pieces. Now, when the bed system is in, and I'll show you the bed system soon, but when the bed system is in, if I need access into that cabinet, I can still get in there via the 2 smaller doors. Now, opposite the tall boy is the stubby box. Now, we'll just move Avi more out of the way and grab my keys. The stubby box is a 21 litre storage compartment. Now, it's full length. Although it's got 2 doors, it's a full length trough, if you like. And it's an ideal place for hand tools or other bits and pieces that you might need for your Land Rover, or it's just another storage compartment for absolutely anything you want. Now, it's open backed at the bottom, and that's so you can gain access to that void in the wall of your wheel arch. Now, once it's full, you might not be able to reach right to the back. So what we've done is we've just added these little drop-down doors, so you can actually access the bits that you've got in that void. And again, all these doors are magnetic, so they're not going to fall down in any way. And then when they're up, they're also held in place with magnets, so they're not going to drop down and trap your fingers or anything like that. The other nice thing about the stubby box is it's got a nice little shelf. So when you've not got your sleeping panels or bed panels in use, they can store up here and they lock into place. Now, while we're looking at the bed panels, to use those, we just simply unlock them from the stubby box and place them into their position. Now, you can do this from inside or outside. It's a very simple task. And once they're in, again, they're magnetized down, so they're not going to bounce around or anything like that. And that leaves you with a nice clear window space and this shelf. So when you're led down in bed, you've got a coffee or hot chocolate space here. And then when Liz is here, if she wants, she can use one of these top shelves for her coffee cup. Now, let's just put these back. Now, whilst I'm saying I'm putting these back, there is another place for these panels, which I'll show you later. But what I'm sitting on right now is the fridge box. Now, the fridge box is one of two storage items, or options, if you like. So the other one is the general stores box, which I'll show you shortly. But it looks just like this, but it has a closed end here. So how does the fridge box work? The fridge box has been designed for the Alpical D30 Adventurer 20-litre compressor fridge. It's a pull draw system, and it's pretty good actually. So when I'm inside the vehicle, I can just lift up this and gain access to the fridge. And obviously when I'm outside, I can do exactly the same. I don't need to lift the door up when I'm outside because there's enough room to get my hand in. Now, there's various other manufacturers that do pretty much identical fridges, and I swear they're all made by the same company in China. Who knows? But anyway, the measurements for the fridge will be available. So if you do have interest in another pull draw fridge, just double check that it's around about the same measurements as these. Now, you might think there's a bit of wasted space here at the front then because it's a pull draw, but no, not really, because what Liz and I do when we go away, we have a container or a bag and we just drop it in here and off we go. So when we need to use the fridge, all we do is pull that container out, pop it on the floor somewhere or up here on the side, and we've got access to that fridge again. So you're talking movements of just a few seconds. Also, in the top of the fridge box is a 50mm deep trough, or tray if you like. Now, it's great for things like cutlery or utensils or whatever. I mean, we keep things like, we've got some shopping bags in here. I've got the blackout blinds for the Defender. We've got one of these fancy put your wine bottle and glasses in little table thingy. We've got Liz's flip-flops and some other bits and pieces. Now, the hinges that we use here, they're stay-up hinges. They're not going to just drop down, and they're kind of soft close as well. And again, these cabinet doors have magnets on, so when you're traveling, they're not going to be bouncing up and down in any way at all. So the final piece, or one of the nearly the final piece, is the floor system. Now, I'll just remove my mat. Now, the floor system has been designed so that you don't have to bolt it into your vehicle floor. So it has a castle type design to how it fits. So when you put your floor system in, you then put in your tall boy and stubby box, and those side panels lock that floor into position. Now, it's also a good place if you want to have your window open to store your bed panels, and then once you're done with those on the floor, you can put your carpet back over the top to avoid them getting damaged or scratched in any way. Now, the floor system, I'll just move this back up out of the way, is routed in several places, so you can have your fridge box or general stores box on either side. Now it's best to let us know when you're ordering these so we can make sure the hinges are facing the right way for you. Although everything is hinge marked, it's much nicer for us to provide you with something that is ready to go when you're putting this together. Now, in addition to the floor piece, I'm just going to hop out of the vehicle and show you the T-piece. Now, the T-piece is an extension of the floor. Now, it's not necessary for you to have this for any of the system to work, but it is a nice addition to go underneath your seats, and that allows you to connect or bolt in place other items. If you've got an inverter that fits under your seat, you can bolt it to that T-piece. If you've got a battery like I do, you can strap that down to the T-piece without having to bolt or drill into your car. And that T-piece actually latches on to the floor system. So let's go and have a quick look at that a moment. So this here is the T-piece. Now it's just an additional bit that you can slide in, and it will latch to the floor system, so it doesn't move around, and it allows you, well, first of all, it makes it look much nicer and tidier underneath your seats, but then it also acts as an anchor point. So if you've got an inverter like I've just mentioned, or a battery or a subwoofer or anything else, you can bolt that down or screw that down into this piece without having to go into your floor. Now it also has two strips that go right down to the original floor. Now these are for the seat bars that support your seats. Now a lot of these seats wear at the hinge point, so when you've got your seats up, they might not level on the backs, and that's because you've got that wear on the hinge. So what these slots do is they hold the seat bar into a single position, which in most cases that I've seen actually levels up your seats and helps you support that bench or single seat a lot better than it would do without this slot. Very simple. Right, okay, so I've just jumped back into Big Half to finish off this video. Now, as you can see, I've now have the general stores box in here. Now, the general stores box, as I said before, is around about 120 litres plus of storage space. Now, we've divided the box into two, and the main reason for that is to give it a little bit more strength, especially if you've got heavy items going on the top. And that could be body weight, it could be luggage, it could be tools or whatever. So that centre parting is there for a reason. Now, what it also has are two small dividers, which allow you then to compartmentalize your equipment into either 1, 2 or 3 spaces. And that's the same in the second half too. So you've got ample of room and ample of compartments, so you can easily figure out where all your gear is. Now, the other nice thing about this box is it has a base to it. So if you do want to remove it or remove the system from your vehicle, you simply undo it from its anchor points, and then you can just slide this box out with all of your gear in it. Now, obviously, depending on how heavy your equipment is, and even as an empty box, it's always advisable to try and do this with 2 people. But then that leaves us with a question about where do we put our fridge or our ice box? Well, that's up to you, but there's plenty of floor space here or up here. So I've got a 30 litre ice box up here, and I think I could probably get a 40 or 50 litre fridge or cooler box up here. Now, even if that stayed there, there's still ample room for 2 people to sleep here. So I don't think storage for a fridge is going to be a bit of an issue. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been of interest to you. It's certainly been interesting for me to make. It's my first YouTube video, And I've got to say, I'm being a bit nervous about it. So apologies for any editing errors or any slip of the tongue or anything like that. It's completely alien to me, and hopefully I will get better as time goes on. But if I have missed anything, or if you want some questions answered, please email me at overland@kenshatori.co.uk, or you can message us from Instagram at kenshatori.overland or at bigharv1971. Hope to see you soon. Right, come on, Av. It's time to enjoy the weekend.